another of our series, Baytown in Early Years, and tonight we look at the arts. I want to start by thanking Cora Turner, who played the flute for us. It was charming, and we thank Cora and Baytown Symphony who helped provide it and set it up. We also have Lee College videotaping again. One of the students is here, and the Baytown Sons cover it. We are very grateful for that. I do want to point out that we have a painting exhibit up, and it is provided by the Baytown Art League. So I hope before or after you take time to enjoy it. There are some scrapbooks and materials from the different organizations. And afterwards, as usually, if we have time, we will ask any of you to come up and add some of your remembrances to this. Well, without more ado, we're going to get right to our program, and we will start off with the Baytown Art League, and Mary Pat Connor will tell us about their history.
I can't get there that one over this way.
Let's pull it out. That's a big slide.
I'm one of the ancients around here. I know I don't look like I'm supposed to go to an art school, but I had a mother-in-law, and her name was Mrs. Jimmy Harrop, and she believed if she said jump, I was to jump. So I was right about 22 years old, or maybe 21, and she decided we needed an art school. Well, she would decide and I'd do, so I did. So every time we go somewhere, everybody asks me what that thing is over there. Well, that's me. Everybody else is dead nearly, but here I am. And she couldn't quite make it tonight. But anyway, I called and told her what we were doing. I've got a slide over. I've got a slide of as many people as I could put in here. We've got the catalogs in the back. I borrowed them from the Art League. And a lot of old friends are there, and there are some I haven't seen in years. But I grew up in a couple of different generations. So if I'm talking to you and I sound like I've been around a long time, I really haven't. So what I did, they're in their 90s now, and here I am. So many hours couldn't come. I couldn't find them anywhere. A lot of the people were going to try to come, and I don't see many of them. But when we get to it, I want you to tell me about things that you remember. Now this is 52 we started. There was one place in town you could go buy art supplies that I found. There was one more that had something, but it was one at the newspaper office or something. But it was down on by 7th Street. How many of you went down there to buy brushes and stuff? Anybody? That was the only place to go if you wanted anything. You went there. And they were going to try to reach her, but she was having some problems about it. Now the first picture, and it said in there one of the early members, that was Mary Pat Connor. Well, Mary Pat Connor was the living room floor we were sitting on when we decided to be the Art League. Can we get it? All right, that's me. Can you turn off the light a little while? I talk, I don't need it. These people were on one picture. You've got them there. There have been that's funny. That's good. I can't see. Can I go blind or I look? Just one will be fine. Just turn off the light. Now we met on the floor of the living room. We ran out of room. We had tried a long time. Now I had met her in the beginning in an art class at Lee College, and there was a whole bunch of people over there. Many of us was teaching. And we all kind of enjoyed each other. Then a few years later, well, I ended up in family. Now, this was me. Now, remember who I'm boss of, a whole bunch of people. But they did what they were told, and they did a beautiful job. I don't think your thing's going to fit. You want to change it? Now, this is Mary Alice. Now, I know she's in a wheelchair now. I don't know how well she's getting around. But is she doing pretty well? somebody would not, and I haven't seen her in a good while. And she was in charge of the first art show. Well, guess who was in charge of the first art show? Okay, go ahead. And that's Mother Harris. Now you take a real good look at her. We were a pretty even matched pair. She'd figure it out and stick my name in there. I'd do the work, and she'd say, that's fine. Okay. Now, I'm sorry about these being backwards. I couldn't tell what I was doing while ago when I put it in. Most of those people you know. And the first one is Miss Martinez. I've got them backwards. Then Miss Casey in the middle, and then Irma Simmons. Now she's gone, and several of these people you're going to see are gone. And if I can't help it, I was trying to get a hold of them, and somebody finally told me I couldn't. Well, I will sooner or later, but right now I can't. All right, next is Miss Guest. How many of you remember her? Most of you here do. Can you change it? All right, her face is in every picture we've got in those books back there. And she worked hard, and she did many jobs, and she was one of the originals too. And she never expected to be patted on the head for it. I mean, she just did it like breathing. All right, now we started and had different things all along. I did not stay in the Art League. Let's get that straight right now. I did not. I got busy and I saw that we got an annual going. I saw that we got a constitution going. And I saw that I won some prizes and stuff. And I went to teaching. And if I was going to live, I better get out of the Art League. Now, I did the pictures for the student show 20 years ago. And I always have pictures over there. But if you start something, they're going to expect you to move it for them from now on if you don't clear out. Now, they'll call you, but that's all you got to do. Okay? Now, this is I get them all backwards. Over here is Altwine, Virgil Altwine, Jewel Fuller, and Miss Harrington. Now, where there were people in lots of pictures, I couldn't get them all in, so I tried to find ones that had several that we could see and recognize. Now, those people, well, she called me, Jewel Fuller, and I'll be here one day. She kept calling me and calling me, and she had to go to a meeting. Well, so okay, here I am. But she used to have fun. Her son-in-law was in the Air Force, and she'd be out there and come back telling us stories about these winged planes they had. And it was research and development he was in. So I inquired my brother and we'd see what was happening the best anybody tell us. Okay. Now this is one of the student shows. This is 1969. And I tried to get some spacing in here. Now the kids have done a good job. And when we started, there were some very good artists. But these kids we've got now can put anybody that had a picture in those first few shows to shame. That's all there is to it. They are good. They've had years to practice. We mostly, well, I had some art, quite a bit of it, but these kids are growing up with it, and it's natural to them. And most of them don't look at a chair anymore and see a chair. They see something to sit on, or colors or shapes. Okay. I did that to her, just pure spite, and I want it on TV, and I'm going to get her a copy of it. And that's my mother-in-law, and she's painting. When she was painting, she could go after it. She's almost blind now. I don't know if most of you know. She broke her hip and can't go up and down the stairs. But if you can call, give her a call. She'd love to talk. You can't tell the difference on the phone. All right? Now, how many of you know Eva McMurray? All of you should. All right, and Fred Buckles. This is the very first art show she put on. You know, where they're judged and you pay to enter. And she and I both look a little bit different. But she's working on a house now, and she had to go back up country, but she'll be back. And she still puts them on, and she couldn't quite remember this, that, or the other. And she sent me a one-page letter, and all it said was they put on the art show every year. Now, you know what you go through to put on a show like that. You got to get judges, you got to get prizes, you got to get a place to stay, and all this stuff, but that's all she told me. All right, now this, go ahead. This is 1973, and this is Nell Irvin. Paints lots of things. Now this is a contest or something she was working on. she was a good member and did a beautiful job. All right. Now this is abandoned windmill. Perry Smith and Pat Wheeler. And this was the best to show of the work factory. Okay. Now this, to the best of my knowledge, is Pat Wheeler. Taylor. I did not have her name down. I had to go through the pictures, but that's who I finally decided it had to be. If anybody disagrees, let me know. But she looked good. There was a good photograph, and she looked like she knew how to paint. All right, now we've got one from James Head of Baker, and this is Chloe. We tried to get in a little of all of the arches we could. I do not have one of the stitcheries. I do not have some of the ceramics. Okay. But they were doing them, they're still doing them, and we used to have one lady in town that was an absolutely fantastic weaver. She had looms that were unbelievable. Now these are 1986. This is Yvonne Hicks and Ron Emery. And this is one of the pictures for the sesquicentennial. Okay? Now, this one is A.J. Cobb and Linda Shelby. And these were for the sesquicentennial. Now, this covers as many of the pictures as I could get together. I've got them back there. It's just a limit how many pictures you can take and keep them falling down. Now, we've got a note here of the Spring Art Festival. This was 30 years ago. That's all right, go ahead. This is the Spring Art Festival, so there's 30 years in this gap. There's been some extra years in between, I think it's what, 4. So if you got to go to one, hopefully you got to go to the other. Now, the article in the paper is one telling about the things we've got going right now. Our school district is one of the first that had art in the public schools, and I was one of the first ones, or the first one hired for that purpose. And I was painting a set at the Little Theater when they called me. And I didn't know. I got my first job by going and telling them, here I am. And they said, good. And LaPorte said, here I am, come on. And I told them, but then they told me to get over here where I belong, so here I am. I'd grown up here. I was born here in 29, so I knew everybody. Gertrude and the rest I was did. And we don't comb our hair real good, and everybody doesn't find out about it. Just because there's so few of us. We were on one of the 2 paved streets down by Goose Creek. So we all had a good time, really. A lot of our bridge club is all local people. Gertrude's one, Sylvia Scott used to be Goss's one, Jean Massey's one. Who else? Come on, the whole bunch.
The others aren't local.
They're not, well, they're close. But they've been here in the bridge club about 20 years. But if you've got old friends, keep up with them because those memories go a long way back. Now, how many of you like to tell us something about what you've done in that time? Remember, we had the Exxon strike coming up, and they were going to try it. Remember, how many of you were here when the guns were here? You people saw those guns on the trucks when they were trying to unionize Exxon. For example, who was it? You don't remember? Oh, well, how many of you saw the guns? My father hauled me over there, and I saw those guns. Pardon? Well, I know I did, because they were sitting on the back, and I saw them planting those rose bushes, too. They put up that fence overnight. The whole town's area changed. The town used to be over there. The workhouses were over there. How many of you can remember the company houses? Now you're making sense. Well, they were at the same time. You just were chicken and didn't go look. When they started to dig the monument, Daddy said, they're getting ready to start the monument. Look, he took a picture. They're digging some more. Look. And do you know that the pendulum's still down there and that thing's in a perfect balance from when they built it? And if you know and kind of look at them nice, they'll take you down and let you see it. And I got one of my granddaughters in it. And I hope when she grows up, she'll realize that for 30, how many years? 40 years, I guess, 50. That's hung straight. They've got a library in there and they'll take you to it. And if you want to do research, if you'll let them know, they'll take you up and let you go in their library. Anybody got a question? Who had something strange happen to them when the town was growing?
Well, what we're going to do is,
Okay.
if the panelists are finished, we're going to invite people over to talk. So we'll do that. Thank you very much. because this weekend the Baytown Little Theater had their 25th year show and celebration. And Jim Richardson, our next panelist, was very involved with it. In fact, he did a number that he's always wanted to do from Pinafore. Well, last week was full of rehearsals and 2 shows, and he said, I haven't had time to prepare anything. I might have to just come sing. So I don't know what we'll hear tonight.
Well, I promise I won't sing because I'm really an actor who looks like he's singing. Anyway, it's great pleasure to be here and celebrate this remembrances of the early days of the arts in Baytown. And as Audrey said, it's very timely because I think next weekend on the 24th of August we celebrate our 25th opening, 25 years of opening. So it has been 25 years next weekend that we opened our first show. So there's been a lot that has happened over the last quarter of a century, a lot of people that have been involved. And before I get into the early history, let me just review some of those, I suppose, statistics, but I think they pinpoint what the organization does. We've done 35 musicals. I won't list them all, they're all the famous ones, the ones you all know about. 72 comedies. We like comedies. We like to make people laugh. 32 dramas, real serious stuff. 10 mysteries. 11 children's shows. Not enough, in my opinion. And here's one that's interesting. 3 ballets, including the Nutcracker. To think that in one summer, in June or July, the Baytown Little Theater, we did the Christmas Nutcracker Tchaikovsky. You know, it was a wonderful event that we were all proud of. Now this totals 170 shows. And this weekend when we did our nostalgic reminiscing, we had some statistics that came up at something like over 100,000 people, some repeats, attending, 100,000 admissions over the last 25 years. So we're very proud of the role that we have played in the performing arts of Baytown. And I think that I would like to emphasize the relationship that we have with the community, because I think it's important. And first of all, let me say that we have a very special role because we are a vehicle for people who like to perform. Now, if you look at little theaters in American communities all over the country, as I have, there are 2 types. There's the little theater group which exists to bring plays to the community. And there's the theater group that exists to give people in the community a chance to be in plays. And we're in the second one, and we don't apologize for it. And because of this, we have maintained our independence, our originality, our own particular flavor. So we have a theater now, we have a theater building that we've made adequate for our purposes. It's not perfect. We don't have a paid professional staff. We don't have paid directors, paid organization, and so on. This is what you find in the organizations where they exist to bring theater to the public. So we're not really professional, but we're not non-professional either. We perform because we like to do it. We love our audiences, our 100,000 people who have shown up, because in them we see potential actors. Anyone that comes out there and says, I can do this better than so-and-so, we would like to see. And so we have existed in the last 25 years on our own, without making major demands on the community in terms of fundraising and buildings and so on and so on. All we ask is that people come and see our evidence. Well, the theater is open to anyone who wants to perform in it. It's non-professional, it's non-profit. In fact, we charge you. We charge you $10 to be in the organization. You have to pay before you can act. So definitely non-profit. But we make our way from the proceeds of the tickets that we sell. In all of these activities, these musicals, these dramas, these mysteries, these ballets, we interact very closely with the other art groups in Baytown. And looking back on the very first program of our first play, Biography, the credits are listed, our grateful appreciation to. There's the Baytown Art League. It's there. Because in those early days, we needed people who could paint sets, who could be artistic, who could do these things. Later on, we needed the people who were musicians, who could form the nucleus of the orchestras that we needed. We needed the singers. So we have reached out and interacted with these other groups. In return, we have helped them. We have done specials, benefit specials for the community chorus and the orchestra. And we're proud of this. Well, how did all this get started? It seems like tonight we're talking about these reminiscences. This is probably the last chance we'll have to record this for posterity. In 1959, I think it was, a group of us who were interested in the theater. And this includes very definitely my wife, Jean Richardson, who many of you knew. She was a drama major, and she was later the first drama teacher at Sterling High School. At that time, she taught over at one of the junior high schools. We were interested in starting a homegrown community theater. And there were other people, too. Other people who felt the same way. So this group kind of came together in a small group. And we had a meeting. And the meeting was in Lowell Lammer's office. He was the catalyst of the group. Trying to remember the people who were there. Cecil Sutton was one, and Shirley Andrews, Harold Bone, and other people. I must apologize, I forgot. And we met sometime in January 1959 to get the theater organized. Well, first of all, the order of business, we said, let's have a theater. Everybody said, fine, we'll have one. The second order of business, what should the name be? Well, will you believe for the next 3 hours we argued about the name? I mean, we came up with names, and the Thespians, it goes on, we had this long list of names. So finally we got exhausted, so we decided we would think about the names and we would meet again. Well, we never did. I don't know why, but we never did. I know why Jean and I didn't, because 2 weeks later our daughter was born, and then we were kind of involved for the next year or so. Well, finally, after we emerged from this event, what happened to the theater? The Thespians or whatever they are. Well, let's think about it again. So we reorganized the group. We got some people together. Once again, I can't remember who they were, but there was a small group of, I think the Tickners were involved. And we went into Houston to talk to a group in Houston that had a similar organization, the Country Playhouse. And we met with their board of directors, and they gave us some very useful advice on how to start a community theater group and how to keep it going. And I think in the last 25 years we have taken their advice, we have changed it somewhat, but most of the time we've stuck to their guidelines. They still exist in Houston over there in the Town and Country Shopping Center, and we still exist here. So we appreciate what they do for us. Well, then in June or July of 1961, we advertised in the Sun. We're having this meeting in the humble community center, and a record number of people showed up. We were amazed. The room was full. Where was all this action in Baytown? Where they'd been waiting for this to happen. But you see, we had learned our lesson from the previous attempt. Not only did we have a name, the Baytown Little Theater, so original but there. We had a set of bylaws that